Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today we're looking at X-Wing. Now, when you get X-Wing on Steam, there are 3 different versions. So this is X-Wing Classic. So we just want to look at this and get a general idea. Now, I want to point out that the cursor right now is moving slowly towards the left side of the screen. That is not me. That is the problem with basically all old games that use the old style of joystick inputs, because it's not putting a dead zone on a highly sensitive analog stick from an Xbox One. Anytime the stick on Xbox Ones, which do have a tendency to go from being exactly at the center point to maybe just a fraction of the degree off to the left or right, anytime an old game sees that, it causes this drifting issue, which either you can adjust with a joystick constantly fighting it, or you can just kind of ignore it. I had to turn the audio down, by the way, externally, because even if you were to turn down the volume and of the sound and music, the spoken text by these robots in this menu section will still be really loud, just I assume because this is a 1993 DOSBox game. Oddly, this game also comes with these 2 characters here. Top Ace 1, who is apparently a general with a tour of duty score of 999 and has done 5 tours. He has all of these medallions, so this is, I guess, what you would be looking for possibly in a perfect game on this X-Wing flying around simulator. And then there's also Top Ace 4, which his merits apparently are not quite so good. I have no idea why this would be in here though. Like, why somebody would specifically wants you to have save files that aren't your own just when you bought the game. I imagine that means it doesn't matter, or this is a copy of a game that nobody even looked at. The logs here can go on further to show just every kind of mission that are possible. These might have been modified save files for some reason. There might be a reason for that, but I just typed in my own name and then figured out that you go over here to move on. Now, unfortunately, when you hit escape for the menu, there's no way to turn off the controller, the joystick. So we have here a film room, which I assume would be mission films, that like cutscenes that we could see. We have a pilot proving ground, a tech room, and a historical combat. So if historical combat is to show you previous fights and this is a training section, you would think this would be options, but it's not. It's kind of just a modification of your ships. Now, the problem that I'm immediately running into, besides the joystick, let me see if I can just play with the joystick and get it to stop doing that. The problem with playing a game like this is I look at new games that come out every week. I stream live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I play a little bit of Hearthstone, and I look at every single new game that comes out on Steam. And consistently, I look at games that are fly-around games. Doesn't seem like you can change these. So, like, it just seems like it's showing you possibly places where you are supposed to target. So you might get missions that say target the missiles, or target the torpedoes, or target the solar panels on a TIE bomber. That would be kind of cool. particularly for how old this game is. It's surprising how much art we're seeing here. But consistently, there are some categories of games, some styles of games that just don't interest me. And fly around space games are one of them. And I've got a lot of X-Wing games and X-Wing series for that to be the case. Was not expecting that to happen. So, historical films. Okay. I don't understand that. In this mission, you'll learn to adjust your power configuration system, target the enemy, and destroy an unarmed Imperial TIE fighter. No high scores. Mission 1 of 6. It's like you return to a spaceport, or like you go to combat briefing. So, it seems like there might be a couple of different paths you can pick here. Certainly this has the feel of an old school game, though, where it's not telling you what to do at all. One would assume new tour is what we're supposed to do, so let's look at Pilot Proving Ground and see where that takes us. And see, I don't think these are actual loading screens. I think this is just a transition for transition's sake. We're landing on a different ship now. Rebel Proving Ground. Navigate carefully through the gates. You have 8.5 minutes to finish the course. If you get too far off track, you may press H to abort. Each missed gate is a 15% time penalty. Okay. So it's like a maze minigame. Let's try it. That doesn't seem too difficult. But there's also a problem here, is I'm gonna look at this, now I'm gonna look at the collector's edition of this, which I assume may just have slightly more missions, and then I'm gonna look at the special edition of it. So we're not flying, I think. Well, we are flying, but we're not shooting. And so with the mouse, this is super easy. Is there a way to speed this up? With a control stick. Like so many other games here, the old school joystick does not set itself up well. It'll just kind of easy to align and things like this. Yeah, fly around space games though are not my bag. I'm cool with sequences and other games having some of this, but if this is all you're doing, or if it's just part of something where it's a 4X game where it's all about exploring, expanding, exterminating, or whatever the 4th X is, I never remember what those are. They all seem so monoculture. Monoculture, it might be the wrong phrase, but they all seem generic and the same, and there's no love there, really. Like, I have no interest whatsoever in playing a space game with a bunch of space aliens I've never heard of. I would say that Mass Effect probably did a great job to avoid stuff like that, because you're not really flying around the spaceship. Instead, you're doing more of a generic first-person shooter game. In the case with a lot of choose-your-own-adventure storyline. I feel like the plane is naturally rolling without me being able to do anything, because all I'm doing is moving the left stick, so these angles should not be shifting as much as they are. A does fire, B does nothing, X does nothing, Y. Ooh, turns that off. That might be nice. So this is a 4-button controller interface. But I doubt anything like the left stick, right stick does anything, or the D-pad and the right analog stick. Left bump, right trigger. I imagine the back button does nothing, and the start button does nothing here. One sec, I'll hit them and see if they do anything. No. This is incredibly slow and incredibly boring by modern standards. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing wrong here. Oh my god, goodness. There's 70 remaining here. You're supposed to do this for 110 of these. This is not a game that you would want to play. It just isn't. Right. Seems like your bullets cycle through 4 different fires. Is anything speeding me up? Right stick, left stick? What if I was to hit the mouse or right click? No. So, at this point I'm looking on the keyboard to see if there's a way to speed up. I crashed and that slowed me down, definitely. But then it seems like my speed maxes out at 70. And that probably is just a factor of how old this game is. The fact that they're doing very low polygon by modern standard 3D graphics probably pushed video cards to their maximum. And this probably was a game that could not go any faster, even if you wanted it to. I've run into some mods of Street Fighter arcade games where they've been modded, and some other arcade games too, to run at twice the speed than what they were supposed to run at, just to fit a modern sensibility on like what is a realistic amount of time to do this. I could see easily this being the same case. This is just painfully slow. And WASD, let's see, we can just kind of cycle through keys, I guess. There's a lot of things on the keyboard. P pauses. S foils closing.
Don't worry about it.
So I got to H and it gave up. Alright, well that sucked. That's a really, really awful bit of gameplay there. And I suspect, like, we had 40 remaining. Apparently we were supposed to be shooting at things also. I did not get any idea or indication that that was the case. That was something we were supposed to be doing. And there's several different ships you could pick from, but only one level. There must have been something here. The X-Wing series is at the top of Wikipedia as a series of games.
Tour of Duty registration,
it does have like talking, which is amazing. But almost all the LucasArts games have talking in them, so that's just kind of their thing.
Good luck.
So, Tour of Duty, I imagine, is kind of a storyline, kind of just goes for a certain number of levels, and then you have to start all over again. I doubt we'll do an entire Tour of Duty in the next few minutes. We're getting the Star Wars crawl again. I don't know, maybe with all the remasters, with all the mini attempts, like, LucasArts clearly needed to get some Star Wars game to succeed. And in an ironic way, they kinda never did. There were small bursts of successful games for their time, but hardly something on the level of a Call of Duty or a Battlefield series or any of the other series of games that have just managed to stay in people's minds and continue to get sequels on a near annual basis. Okay. So, it says the attack against Imperial, blah blah blah. He's not talking. So apparently there was only enough talking programming for the robots, and that was it. So here this is just straight text. And I'd really like, well, this is a true and realistic military debriefing or pre-briefing. This is not something somebody who's playing a game would want to do. Like, this is just a lot of text. I just want to jump in the ship and start fighting. And maybe that is why they gave us a top ace save file or two to play, is just because the realization here is that as this game actually is, it's not that fun. So I can be in flight group 1, 2, or 3. Select that, and then we can view our medals from this point. We'll just enter the mission. I've seen some interesting transition scenes in this game, and then one really long, really boring fly around mission. That's not a good first impression. Now, who knows? Maybe the final version of this game, the way it's released, everything is polished, everything runs smoothly, all the levels have been rethought, and this is a somewhat modern experience. That being said, I just played, I believe it was called Rebel Assault, and it was an on-rail shooter, and the first level was basically exactly this. None of the buttons change, and I'm going either at 90 right now, or I'm going at 40. And regardless of which speeds actually I'm going at, it is not fast enough. It's clearly. This is definitely a part of why I don't like fly around space games. Just for the fact that it is super easy to get disoriented and get lost. It looks like flying towards this galaxy is leading me towards the red dots, and I'm a green dot, so theoretically the thing I'm supposed to be shooting is over here. That being said, I think I just ran out of bullets. I can no longer press A. Fire. I can't press A to fire. My map in the top right doesn't seem like it's... I was following the one in the top right, but maybe that was the rear view mirror map. Maybe I was supposed to be looking in the top left, which says F, which might be forward, and then the one in the right. X-Wing Red has entered hyperspace. So are they seriously just gonna let me fly around here and do nothing for this entire mission? Because well, first things first, the controls here are awful and they're inefficient. You cannot do everything with a joystick. You just can't. You're going to have to, if you were to play with a joystick, you're going to have to also play with a keyboard, so you might as well just be playing with a keyboard. Apparently, I exhausted something, so we can move the shields, transfer power, proton torpedoes, set to tool fire. Okay. Replay camera on, replay camera off. B is for briefing. In-flight map is M for map, okay. So the keys are all over the place. Just the letter you might think that it's for is that, but it's not really helpful. So H. H for hyperspace. So I went into hyperspace. Is that the end of the mission? Do you want to view your flight recorder film? Sure. Let's see what this looks like. It looks terrible. It's kind of nothing. Let's see. Is there something we can move around? We can move around the joystick to see this. But that's kind of it. Advance. Yeah, basically nothing happened. E for exit. I have no idea what I did. Maybe I shot one thing. And as honest as I will ever be in my life, I am not playing this up. I have no idea how to play this game. The game has not told me anything in a smart, good way. This is a classic old school game problem where you're going to have a player's guide, you're going to have to read the instruction, and you're probably going to have at least one friend sitting next to you telling you how to play the game. So the mission was a failure. Freighter Ares was not destroyed, Freighter Nigero was not destroyed, Freighter Bixie was not destroyed, but Freighter Akram and Usurp were destroyed. We killed 2 of our ships. Goals. Lasers fired 129. Spacecrafts hit 32. How did I hit 32? Well, I hit a spaceship 32 times, I suppose. Homing projectors fired. Hits 0%. Alright. So yeah, a failure mission. I seriously shouldn't end up with me getting a award or medallion. We didn't save the film. So it doesn't look like there's anything else to do here. We're just going to continue tour 1, as it were. And look at transitions for no reason. This is not good. And honestly, if you remastered and remade this game in 2019, I still don't think it's to the point where it would be a game I'd want to play. Let's look at our medallions. Yep, nothing. Like, no medals for failing. And I seriously doubt if I was to play as one of the other characters, I seriously doubt that would change anything. So, yeah. This is not my type of game. Also, it's really not a game anybody should be playing. Good news is when you buy this on Steam, you get 2 other versions. So, the collector's edition and a special edition. I'm not even sure which one is the older or newer versions. We'll check those out and see if maybe by the time we get to the newest version, there is something here that would maybe tutorialize things and make it a little bit easier and have modern joystick controller support. At this point, for these old games, I'd prefer just for it to not even detect that I have a joystick plugged in, because it is just fighting me, moving the mouse cursor, as you can see right now, slowly up and to the left. Again, I am not doing that. That is just drift from a overly sensitive Xbox One controller. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.